Oh. Hey there, you've caught me having a post-day job beer and thinking about Perish. Fellow content creator LootsMcGoots hooked me up with a game key and invited me along to record some gameplay recently, and I haven't looked back since. I am shocked and possibly appalled at the reception this game has gotten on Steam so far, and I feel that a mixed review ranking is far from fair. So let's dive in, take a look at the good, the bad, and the bugs in Perish. Perish is being developed by a two-brother team at Item 42 and being published by Handy Games with the pitch that they are making a love letter to fast-paced, cooperative first-person shooter games. A first-person rogue-lite combining melee and gun combat, Perish wears its inspirations on its sleeve, pulling a lot of the best elements from games like Left 4 Dead, Vermintide, Doom, Gunfire Reborn, Destiny, and even Dark Messiah of Might and Magic to boot. But Perish isn't all imitation and homage. The game's art design goes insanely hard, dripped in black and gold with Greek, Egyptian, and Christian mythologies all blended together with an absolutely driving soundtrack in a genre that I just made up called Greek Doom Metal, which serves as the perfect pairing to the massive amount of slaughter you'll unleash on the denizens of Purgatory. Speaking of slaughter, let's talk about Perish's gameplay. Oh, I have a gun. Pow! 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 The main loop of Perish sees you and up to 3 friends, in my case, fellow creator LootsMcGoots and his moderator extraordinaire, Coleman T16. Yep, and you've pop-up spawned in front of me. Hello, and there's Coleman. Wow, you guys are highlighted. Blue, look at that. Running, jumping, dashing, and kicking your way through Purgatory in hopes of reaching Elysium. The run to Elysium is made up of a series of beautifully handcrafted linear levels with multiple rotating objectives and phases to keep each repeated run fresh. Beginning with nothing more than a broken sword, you kill enemies to earn Danaka, which I will from here on out call gold.
Yeah, gold member, I don't speak freaky deaky Dutch.
Which can be brought back to the Pantheon hub area in full, ending your run early in one of the various safe rooms, or from a perk card drop, or at a severely reduced amount if your entire team is killed in battle. Spend the gold with the very gross High Priestess. Yuck. You get new weapons, passive perks, character skins, and more to start your next run better equipped so you can push further and further towards the end of the game. Combat is frenetic but satisfying with very clear kill indicators, consistent hit reg, crunchy sound effects, and weighty weapons. The weapons in game are a diverse mix of fairly standard melee and firearms that eventually get both passive and active abilities unlocked after completing certain challenges with them. Each weapon is unlocked at certain checkpoints during your run to Elysium, at which point they can be purchased and equipped back at the Pantheon. Guns have unlimited ammo, which is fun, as instead of watching resources dwindle, it changes the combat to a push and pull scenario where you need to effectively time your reloads during the hectic fights. Now, my friends and I found the game appropriately challenging on the mid-tier difficulty levels. Each player has a limited health pool, which can only be regained with specific card perks or in safe rooms, so effectively using your mobility to dodge around is key to survival, or having a run cut short early if you aren't cautious. Coleman's got the dog. No!
Oh no! God didn't do it!
Oh. Okay, now I've had a lot of really nice things to say about Perish so far, but it's not all giant bowls full of gold coins. Let's dive now into the bad and the bugs before I give you a final verdict. Now, before I go into my criticisms of Perish, I need to make it clear that I am not trying to diminish the work that Item 42 has done. The fact that this is made by a 2-man development team is insanely impressive to me. And I'd like to add really quickly that I've been very appreciative of their clear, transparent communication, as well as their ability to quickly get patches and updates out to this game, many of which have been inspired from community feedback. Now, at the start of the video, I mentioned the current mixed review standing on Steam, and I'd like to also point out that a lot of the complaints that I read in those 200 plus reviews at the time of this recording, many have already been fixed by patches and hotfixes. But not everything is perfect, so let me talk to you about what stood out to me during my time with Perish. First, getting into a multiplayer session ended up being a lot more finicky than I think it really needed to be. The game is currently available on Steam, GOG, and Epic Games Store. Now, while I'm sure it's no small task to get these different platforms to communicate with each other, I still think it could have been more straightforward than what our experience was at the time of recording. Myself, LootsMcGoots, and Coleman were all playing on the Steam version, so we figured that we'd have an easier time using the Steam overlay to invite each other to a game. As it turns out, you can't do that. In the upper corner of the menu, there is a prompt to sign into your Epic Games account. Confusing, but this is apparently how the developers get all 3 platforms to talk to each other. A forgotten password and a reset later, we were all signed into Epic, but still could not invite or join each other from that overlay. As it turns out, all we had to do was have one person host a session and provide the room code for the others to join. Maybe I'm getting old or this is one of those skill issues I keep hearing about, but this felt really convoluted and not clearly denoted as that's how to get into a game. Once we finally got into a game, things ran very smoothly and the game itself was actually quite stable. We did have a handful of disconnects mid-session, which was obviously frustrating because there's no way for us to retain our gold or any of the progress that we had made. In fact, at one point, Coleman died so hard I had to Alt F4 out of the game because it had completely locked up.
Well, that.
Did you die or did my game crash?
Yeah, mine went back to the menu.
Yes. It looked like you got hit into next Tuesday.
I am going to have to Alt F4. Other bugs are relatively minor, such as getting stuck on random geometry or the throwing knife animation playing without producing an actual thrown knife. A sillier bug that we found thrilled Loots and Coleman was that as guests in my hosted session, they did not need to pay any gold out of their supply to purchase unlocked weapons. I was quite salty about this because as the host of the session, all of my weapons were of course full priced. I tested this bug again about a week later with Loot's hosting and discovered as a guest in his session, I didn't need to pay any gold to unlock new weapons, so this is certainly a recurring issue and I think it does impact the intended game balance quite a bit. Beyond issues with my technical skills and having to pay for in-game upgrades, there are some gameplay elements that I'd like to point out as well that I don't find as strong as they could be in Parish. While each level itself is linear, the objectives required to progress through each level do shuffle on each run. These tasks are never particularly deep or all that exciting, and they vary pretty substantially in overall fun factor, as well as having a pretty varied level of difficulty to complete. Now, I'm not a game dev, so I don't have any brilliant game-changing suggestions. I, of course, welcome yours in the comments, but these objectives are not created equally, and I think more variety would certainly be welcome at a bare minimum, and complete overhauls is a grander wish. Weapon progression and challenges are also a place that I would like to see some expansion. Each weapon currently has 2 challenges associated with it. Upon completion, they unlock a passive and an active super ability. I personally love that the tasks play to the strengths of the weapons, but they aren't especially hard to complete, and after you finish both, there just aren't any more challenges or tasks associated with that particular weapon. I'd love to see additional challenges added at a minimum to unlock additional weapon skins or bonus gold, and I think it'd add a lot of depth to even have some alternate perks or abilities to unlock for the gun to further tune your playstyle. Finally, the perk cards that are awarded at the completion of each objective require some balance, changes, and bug fixing as well. A handful of perks offer the ability to put a shield around one of your health bars if you get a certain number of kills or in proximity to a teammate. In my 15 hours of playtime, I've so far yet to see one of these perks work as stated, which is essentially rendering them totally null. I'd love to see the perk card system get expanded as well with more enticing options that cause fun effects, because there are many perk cards that I skip every time as I find their overall utility lacking, and I'm always going to favor the rare cards like exploding knives that are insanely fun and borderline overpowered. Please don't nerf those though, because it is fun to be overpowered. We have covered a lot of ground in this review, but you're probably asking yourself, Spooky, is Parish worth it? Personally, I'd have to give it a resounding yes. Ever since wrapping my initial recording session with Loots and Coleman, I have found myself regularly thinking about this game and itching to do more runs to get closer to Elysium. Parish is a near feature complete launch, which is something that sadly is a rarity in 2023. I think it is well worth the $20 price of admission, especially if you have a few friends to join in on the chaos. The devs have said that they remain committed to bug fixing and adding things like weapons and new features to the game. Maybe Twitch integration? I think that Parish is only going to get better as time goes on. If you are a fan of roguelites, first-person shooters, or power metal, you are going to find plenty to love with Parish. Now, I would love to hear what you do think of the game, or if there are any other games in the indie space that you'd like for me to check out on the channel. And of course, I would be remiss if I did not give a huge shout out to LootsMcGoots. Dude, thank you so much for providing me with a game key and inviting me along to play this with you, and I am just very appreciative. So, I think if you are all looking to watch another video here on YouTube, you should click this one right here. This is LootsMcGoots, myself, and Coleman playing through a whole bunch of Parish. It gives you a good feel for what the game is all about. Please continue to be good, be careful, be good and careful. See you in the next one. I'm gonna take my post-work beer and walk off screen, and then I'm gonna turn right around. I'm gonna start editing this video. Bye.